topics in, we're going to look at family life as one of the most important topics in the 24 section A. In family life, we are supposed to know what is the family. We are supposed to know rights of a family in a modern state. We are supposed to know duties of a family in a modern state. We are supposed to know rights of a state and duties of a family in a modern state. Then from there, we're supposed to look at types of families where we have nuclear family and extended family. Then from there, we're supposed to look at family life in African traditional society. We'll look at changing family partners. That is how families have changed. Biblical teaching on family life. We'll look at an ideal family. What should a good family be like? We'll look at generation gap. That is differences between the young and the old in the families and how we can bridge the generation gap. Hope you are getting me well.
Yes.
Good. So before I can say anything, how do you define a family? If I say what is a family?
A family is a group of people living and working together.
Yeah. That is great. It is a very good definition. We say a family is a basic human community in which individuals are nurtured. That word must be there.
Nurtured.
If in a basic human community in which individuals are nurtured, N-U-R-T-U-R-E-D, nurtured, and entitled to a series of rights and privileges as defined and protected by the laws of the state. See, a state has what we call laws governing the state, and in it, there must be rights and privileges which are mainly there to protect a family. If we look at the United Nations Charter, a family is defined as the fundamental group or unit of society, which is entitled to protection by the state. If we are to use a layman's language, we can say a family is a basic unit of society. Why are we saying it is a basic unit of society? It is because a society begins from a family. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah, now let us look at rights of a family in a modern state. If I say rights of a family in a modern state, what comes into your mind? Rights of a family.
Things that the family is entitled to.
Wonderful. Those are things which a family is entitled to. And when we say family, we are referring to members in that family. What are you entitled to as Amenton? What am I entitled to as Isiko? What is Richard entitled to? We look at you as a family. What are you entitled to as a human being? What are you entitled to as a member in a basic unit that is a family? We have a number of rights a family is supposed to enjoy in a modern state. Can you try to cite some of the few things you would wish to enjoy in a modern state?
Basic needs.
Wonderful.
Basic needs like food, shelter, clothes.
Good.
And then education.
Good.
I'm entitled also to a name.
To?
A name.
Good. Now, Mentor, on top of what you have mentioned, we can also note down the following. When you look at the United Nations Charter, it has articles, but when you look at Article 161 of the United Nations Charter on Human Rights, it says that men and women of full age have the right to marry and make a family. So you have a right to marry and make a family. But as you marry and make a family, you have a right to live together, and you are not meant to be separated against your will. So a family has a right to marry and keep together without unnecessarily being separated against their will. That is according to the United Nations Charter. (160) declared by the United Nations. They this standards of living their you have right to enjoy good and modern rights are yet to be relation that such slums should be developed so that the people living there can enjoy decent living conditions. So we said there that it is your right as a member of a family in a modern state to enjoy decent standards of living, which is adequate for your health and your well-being. We can also say fully grown adults have a right to exercise their natural obligation to reproduce and bear as many children as they so wish without being forced to undergo birth control measures. For example, in China, there is a law where one is supposed to produce a maximum of one child. But up to now, United Nations is pressing the government of China to, why? Because a person in a family has a right to reproduce and bear as many children as he or she feels like without being forced to undergo birth control measures. If we can give another example, we would say, for example, in Uganda, people living in slums of Bwaise have produced as many children as they wish, even when they are poor. But why? It is because it is their right. Hope you are getting me well.
Yes.
Good. Do you know the reason as to why we are giving examples in most of our answers?
Not really.
As we had said in our first say that in the video, the first mark was for the definition for the second point. That's why we are defining a family. Clear?
Yes.
Then we have marks for the principal scores, that is marks for the correct points given, and some SH marks. When we say SH marks, you understand me?
No.
No. SH means aesthetic handling. It is a bonus mark given to a student for mature argument. And in the 24, mature argument is seen when a candidate does not stop at giving a correct point, but also goes ahead to give a correct example. Are you getting it now?
Yes.
Good. We can also say members of the family have a right to accord their young ones the kind of education satisfactory their needs or the needs of society. And the state should not impose onto them a kind of education curriculum they do not like. The major point there is a right to education and the kind of education you deserve. We can give an example. For example, in Uganda, when it was realized that the current education system has a lot of issues wanting, members of the family, in conjunction with the state, adjusted the curriculum. Why we now have the new lower secondary curriculum being put in place, such that citizens of the country, members in the family, are given a chance to attain a kind of education they so desire. The most important point there is that a member of a family has the right to attain meaningful education. The other point of new curriculum has come in as an example to give us an extra mark. Then the family is entitled to protection by the state for obstacles to its existence, such as extrajudicial killing. And this is the right which is enjoyed universally. For example, when there were a lot of killings in the towns of Masaka and Kampala, hope you heard of the Bijambia men. Yes. Government was forced to deploy security personnel in most of those areas as a way of offering protection to the family members, since it is their right to enjoy existence without having security threats. Right. We can have another point. We can say the member of the family have a right to own as much property as they desire, and there shouldn't be any legislation to limit the amount of wealth one can acquire. For example, the late James Mulwana, by the time he died, he had a number of business ventures like Jessa, which was earning him income and through which he generated a lot of property. But no one had the right to stop him from accumulating as much property as he could. If I can ask, if you owned some property and you got it genuinely, do I have a right to stop you from owning it?
No.
No, because it is your natural right. If we can go back down at school level, you come with a nice watch, which your teacher is not having. Can that watch be confiscated?
No.
Why?
It's my right to own it.
That's why we have some learners who have pocket money of 20,000 shillings and those who have pocket money of 800,000. But you not go to the office and complain. You say XYZ have pocket money. It is her right of being a citizen because of being a member of the family. We also say members of the family have a right to exercise the freedom of worship and conscience, and no religious belief should be imposed over them. If we can give an example, do you know the reason as to why we have Northern Sudan and Southern Sudan?
No.
At first, we had one Sudan. But in that one Sudan, that is Sudan, Khartoum, they had enforced Islam as the only religion there. So people who are living southwards, which is current Southern Sudan, were Christians by nature, but they were being forced to ascribe to Islam as their faith. So they were led by John Garanga to fight and secede and break away. Why? Because they were against the issue of compulsory joining of Islam. Why? Because it is everyone's right to ascribe to a religion of his own, freedom of worship. For example, if we can quote an example in Uganda, we have President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who is an Anglican, but his children and wife are Pentecostals, and he has never stopped them. Why? Because it is their right to have freedom of worship. Are you aware of that? Museveni is an Anglican?
Yes.
Are you aware of that? His wife and one of his daughters are Pentecostals?
Yes.
And being a president, he would have been tough on them. He would have stopped them from doing that. But it is their right. Then you can say members of the family have a right to express their opinions in public or otherwise, and to associate with anyone on issues of mutual concern to them. That is why, if we can quote the example, when the Kabaka was celebrating his 28th coronation anniversary, he was bitter on government stand on Mairo land. He openly said Mairo land is for Buganda, and Buganda's case should be solved by Buganda, not government. Is that what I said to him?
No.
Do you know why?
It's his right to express his opinion.
Wonderful. We also say, in the same manner, fully grown adults have a right to have a say in the government of their country. You have a right to have a say in the government of your country. We call it right to franchise. Franchise is FRANCHISE, right to franchise. For example, during the 2021 just concluded presidential elections, every Ugandan of voting age went and cast his vote to a candidate of his choice. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Much as people say there was some vote rigging, but at least people voted. What came out of the voting is subject to discussion, but what is important, people voted. May I have my wife? She voted for Bobby Wine. Me as a person, I voted for Patrick Boy Amriat. We have our son who voted for Robert Kabushenga. And we come from the same. They had the right to choose whoever they wanted, as I also had the right to choose whoever I wanted. Why are we saying that? Because it is your right as a fully grown-up adult to have a say in your government. Members of the family have a right to security of person. They should not be subjected to torture, cruel, or inhuman treatment or punishment. Are you aware of it that you have a right to security of person?
Yes.
Are you aware it is wrong for you to be mistreated?
Yes.
Yeah, for example, according to the Ugandan Education Act, a teacher who canes a student irresponsibly stands a risk of education standing order. I'm not saying go to school and begin behaving badly, but are you aware of it that according to the Torture Act 2010, we are supposed to, can you irresponsible at all? Are you aware of that?
No.
We have that as, according to the Ministry of Education standing order, it is illegal to over Cain. That is going beyond what is required. And if one decides to take you to courts of law, you will have to be prosecuted. The advise us to always talk and guide, other than caning. And if you are to cane, the way you cane matters a lot. Then members of the family have the right to have their honor respected and family dignity recognized. We call it right to privacy. They should not be subjected to unlawful interference with the privacy of their family, home, or correspondence, nor unlawful attacks on their honor and reputation. For example, when no support and names of Edimutwe, have you ever heard of Edimutwe?
Yes.
Yeah, when he was arrested and detained in Chitalia prison, the allegation is that he underwent a lot of dehumanizing torture, where his privacy was interfered with, and he logged a case in courts of law. You are a child who is under the care of your father or mother. Am I right?
Yes.
You have your bedroom. Am I right?
Yes.
But as a parent, can I just come and enter into your bedroom without request, even if I'm the one who built the house?
No.
Yeah, you will just say, hey, Dad, what is the problem? Why are you entering my room? He's the one who built the house, but because you are a human being, because you're a member of the family, you are entitled to privacy. I cannot just come as a parent and begin checking your suitcase. I will first seek permission. Why? You have a right to privacy. You are a child. You are my daughter. You have gone to bathe. But can I just come and say, I want to see how you are bathing?
No.
No, it is weird. Why? Because you have a right to
Privacy.
Privacy. Wonderful. It is also the right of the members of the family to enjoy the biggest attainable standards of physical or mental health. And in line with this, they should have access to quality health care and family planning. The most important point there is that as a member of the state and as a member of the family, you have a right to decent health care. You have a right to decent health care. For example, when Uganda was attacked by COVID-19, all efforts have been made by the state to put in place modern facilities in hospitals. Why? To see to it that members of the family who are now the citizens can attain meaningful health care. The members of the family have a right to enjoy the benefits of scientific progress without undue interference from the state and its organs. When we talk of scientific progress, we are meaning computerization, we are meaning internet communication. For example, a person can be in Uganda and orders for a car from Japan using what is called e-commerce. Have you ever heard of e-commerce?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of e-commerce?
No.
When we talk of e-commerce, that is e-commerce where we trade via internet. Have you now got it?
Yes.
Yeah, but being a member, nobody is supposed to stop you. You have the right to enjoy scientific progress. We are now having classes on Zoom. Can the state come up and say, you should stop that?
No.
It is our right. Then it is a right of members of the family to expect fair trial and dispensation of justice without bias or administration. According to the Uganda, if we were to give an example, according to the Uganda Constitution, which was promulgated in 1995, Article 41 and Article 42, as a citizen, you have a right to natural justice. You have a right to be heard in courts of law. If at all there is something which requires judicial address. Are you aware of it that if you stole my phone, even if I saw you stealing the phone, I cannot just say I'm imprisoning you.
Yes.
I will take courts of law, they investigate, and they give you a chance to defend yourself. That is the right to fair hearing. Hope we are at par.
Yes.
The family also has a right to expect fair taxation from government and to appeal against unfair taxes. For example, according to the current Uganda Revenue Authority mode of work, if they levy a tax to you, they first send to you a tax invoice. But in case you feel the tax they have levied to you is abnormal, is unfair, you have a right to appeal through the Tax Appeals Committee headed by the Commissioner. You have having said that, remember we are looking at rights of a family in a modern state. Clear?
Yes.
And we said those are privileges or things you are entitled to. Now let us turn and we look at duties of a family in a modern state. Those questions are common. They ask rights of a family, students give duties. They ask for duties, students give rights. Now if I can ask, what are duties if I talk of duties?
Among the duties, there is voting.
Mm.
The rest I'm not sure.
No, but I just wanted to know the meaning of duties. In your understanding, if I say duties
Duties, those are obligations.
of a family, wonderful. You have used the right word. Obligation is things you are bound to do, things you are meant to do from you. Saying all as a family have a number of rights that must be protected by the law. They also have a number of responsibilities they need to perform for the well-being of the state. So they may use the word like obligations, they may use the word duties, they may use the word responsibilities. They will all be rotating on duties of the family in the modern state. One of it is the duty of the members of the family to contribute to the common good through payment of taxes. Are you aware of it that it is your duty to pay taxes?
Yes.
Yeah, for example, as a teacher, I am supposed to pay as you earn on a monthly basis to the government through URA. Why? It is my duty. It is the role or duty of the family to promote harmony and political stability in society by removing criminal elements and acts of lawlessness. It is your role, it is your responsibility, it is your duty to make sure that you promote harmony and political stability. That is promoting. For example, after the destruction of the World Trade Center in New York. Have you ever heard of the World Trade Center?
No.
Yeah, it was in America. It was destroyed. I remember it was on 11th September 2000. It was hit by a man named Osama bin Laden. But after the destruction of that World Trade Center, Americans and everybody across the world was asked to be cautious because of the threat of terrorism in the country. Everybody was asked to be cautious. Why? Because it is your duty to promote harmony. If neighbors around your place fought and one of them died in the process of fighting, are you aware of it that you can be arrested as a neighbor and you can be charged for criminal negligence? Are you aware of that? Yeah, you can be charged, you can be taken to court, even if you are not the person who told them to fight. Why? Because they expect you to promote peace. Why didn't you go there and tell them, you people stop fighting? Are you aware of that if you were in the dormitory and a fight started, and in the fight, one of the members was hurt terribly, and you were in the dormitory, much as you're not involved in the fight, are you aware of it that by law we can arrest you? Are you aware of that? They will say, why didn't you report? Okay, why didn't you settle the fight? Why didn't you talk to them to stop? It is your duty to promote peace, which we are calling the harmony or political stability. We also say members of the family are called upon to cooperate with law enforcement organs to enable them crack down hardcore elements in society. So the duty there is cooperation with the state whenever they want to wipe out wrong elements. For example, the government was able to remove or kick out ADF from Rwenzori Hills because of the active support of the people there. When I talk of ADF, do you understand me?
No.
ADF is Allied Democratic Forces. That was a rebel group which was operating in the areas of Kasese. But the citizens there cooperated with the government and used to tell for government to go and get them out of the hideouts. The point there is a duty to cooperate with the state in order to remove crimes or criminal elements. The members of the family also have a duty to obey all the laws of the state and to refrain from any criminal tendencies which may cause a breach of public peace. The point there is obedience to all laws of the state. For example, when we were struck by COVID-19, the president came up with the presidential directive. Can you cite one of the presidential directives? Can you cite one of the presidential directives in a bid to stop the spread of COVID-19?
He said we should start home.
Start home. That is very important. Schools were stopped from operating. I have never seen a situation where all schools in the whole country, all the churches in the whole country, all the mosques in the entire country are down. But that is a presidential directive. And as members of the family, it was and it is our duty to obey. Me, I'm at home. Why? Because of the presidential directive. I'm quite sure that you are wearing a blouse as of now. Is it so?
Yes.
Yes. Who told you to wear it?
No one.
No one. It is your right. You can choose what to wear. Today you are wearing a blouse, tomorrow you may use a dress. The other day you may use something different. But again, we have a law. When you are moving out of your home, what are you supposed to wear? A face mask. And it is compulsory. You want it or not, whether you are big or small, whether you are tall or short, it is a law, and your work is to obey as a duty. Clear?
Yes.
It is the duty of the household, that is a family, to ensure that their younger ones are exposed to the kind of education which imparts good moral values and attitudes of honesty to them. Are you aware of it? That what your parents are doing to pay for you to attend this online lesson is their duty? They want to see that you attain meaningful education. It is their duty. That is why, if we can cite an example, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, decided to put in place universal primary education and universal secondary education, such that even the poor ones can have a chance to obtain basic education. When we talk of universal primary education, do you understand it well?
Yes.
Good. You call it Bonabasome?
QPE.
It was put in place to make sure that at least everybody attains education. The president did it as a member of the family of Uganda, as his duty to make sure that the younger one who's in the family of Uganda, remember, a family is big. It can be a home, it can be a school, it can be a church, it can be a class, it can be a country, or that is a family. We also say members of the family are called upon to work very hard to lift their own welfare, to make sure that they develop. For example, when you look at the operation wealth creation, it is entitled to the members in the family. And set on regular basis, work hard and for their well-being. The members of the family to respect the symbols of the nation. The symbols of the nation. Can you cite some of the symbols of a nation which are significant? If I were you, I would talk of the national flag. What else?
The national anthem.
Wonderful. Best example from there. Can you dance when they are singing the national anthem?
No.
Let us assume I am a student in Chidawarime Senior Secondary School. For you, you are a villager. You pass around the school. Let us assume you have brought firewood, but you find us on assembly we are singing the national anthem, what will you do?
If a villager would just walk.
Yes, but if you're a responsible citizen,
You stand until it's done.
why? Because it is your duty. Symbols of national importance. I know you are times by your own dresses, but can you decide to make a blouse from the Uganda flag?
No.
No. Why? Because you accord it respect. Members of the family are under obligation to accept to be recruited into the army and to serve their country in this manner as need arises. Are you aware of it that previously we used to have military service to whoever has finished senior 6 and is going to university? For us, by the time we used to go to university, you will not join university before going to Chankwanzi for 3 months. Are you aware of that? And I know that most of the students who are in
Yes.
were taken through Chakamuchaka. Have you heard of Chakamuchaka? Have you heard of Chakamuchaka?
Yes.
Yeah, it is some form of military service. Why are you doing that? It is your duty to provide military service to the country. If you can quote international examples, in Russia, even in Israel, when somebody reaches 18 years, such a person is supposed to serve in the army, and this may be up to 5 years. You don't do anything before serving in the army for 5 years in Russia. Whoever reaches 18 years is supposed to first serve in the army as military service. We also say it is the duty of members of the family to participate in the politics of their country. When they say we are going to vote, we are going to polls, we are going to elections, are you aware of it? It is your duty. It is your obligation to go ahead and vote.
Yes.
For example, the infamous 2021 presidential polls was conducted by the government of Uganda, by the Electoral Commission, but the aim was to make sure that every Ugandan participates in elections. Lastly, we can say it is the duty of members of the family to keep informed. They need to keep track of what is going on in the world around them. For example, they ought to know about the destruction of the World Trade Center. They ought to know about the new vaccines which have been brought in to combat the spread of COVID-19. Are you aware of it according to Ugandan law? It is no offense.
Yes.
If they say everybody is supposed to be vaccinated and you are not vaccinated, then they come arresting whoever was not vaccinated. Can you survive? Can you say for me I didn't know?
No.
You can't, because you are to keep informed. Why didn't you know? Why didn't you know? Find out. That's why a good person is supposed to always seek information. Next time, we shall look at duties of the state to the family. The family. We are ending our lesson. I'm giving you an assignment. Hello?
Beg your pardon.
Until we are ending our lesson here, but I'm giving you an assignment. You are going to research on the duties of the state to the family. What are some of the things which the state is supposed to do for family members, such that when we meet, you will find present by giving ideas. Do you have any question?
No.
Are you now getting conversant with the way we present the 24?
Not so much.
No problem now.
Yes.
Where are you getting it?
Like the way they begin. The beginning part is that which gives me hard time.
You begin by defining. We have two ways of beginning. Yeah?
Okay.
You can begin by defining the question is okay. Like if we say this is the family, the modern state family. But if a question was for text, you want that gradually.
Mister, can you please send a note? Excuse me.